Joining us now is former CIA operative and head of the bin Laden tracking unit, Michael Scheuer. Good to have you with us, Michael.
Thank you, sir.
This is, it is a peculiar moment, to say the least, to hear the spokesman for the president say that this is about a movie and has nothing to do with U.S. policies or this administration. Your reaction?
Well, it's part of, the country, Lou, is out of control. It's out of control economically, but in the Middle East, we have been out of control for 15 years. We have not had an enemy in the Middle East or anywhere in the world who has been so clear about what motivates them since we fought Ho Chi Minh and General Giap. This is all about American intervention in the Middle East. You just mentioned that there's a problem in the Sudan now. Well, last year or 2 years ago, we and the British and the European Union ripped half of Muslim Sudan away from that country, along with 70% of its oil, and gave it to a new Christian nation in the south. This has everything to do with what our government does. And it should be clear to Americans. Americans aren't hated in the Muslim world as people, but their government under either party is detested.
And as we watch what is happening, the response in Egypt, the Muslim Brotherhood. We are watching an assertion here in this country that this is a continuation of the Arab Spring, when to many it appears to be straightforwardly the murder of our ambassador in Benghazi and 3 other Americans there. That attack appears to be clearly an assassination. Your assessment?
Well, sir, the Arab Spring was never about democracy. We had a lot of BBC journalists and NBC journalists reporting, talking to a few score English-speaking, well-groomed professional Egyptians, and then reading their Facebook. They all could talk the democracy jargon. But they extrapolated from that very small, unrepresentative sample to say 100 million Egyptians wanted democracy. 100 million Egyptians wanted to get out from under Mubarak, wanted to get out from the Americans who were paying Mubarak to suppress them, and also wanted to reassert their religious identity. So the Arab Spring was an entire construction of Mrs. Clinton's mind and the media's mind, and never really existed in the sense it was described.
Mrs. Clinton, Secretary Clinton, saying that that the ambassador, his death is a loss to the Arab Spring. Are you in any way, what is your reaction to those words, which we have, shared with the audience here tonight?
I think Mrs. Clinton may know a little bit more about the Middle East than Jay Carney, but not much, Lou.
Go ahead.
Mrs. Clinton has blood on her hands everywhere. They stuck the ambassador and his team into the middle of a city without guards, and the city provided more suicide bombers in Iraq than any country except Saudi Arabia. Her ambassador ran around Syria for the better part of a year, encouraging the Syrians to come out and protest Assad, knowing that they would get shot down. Mm-hmm. This government seems to be trying to make the world safe for anarchy more than anything else.
And the idea that Libya has now arrested 4 people suspected of taking part in that attack. Are you confident of first the earnestness and the honesty of their act?
Lou, I'm afraid I'm getting old and cynical. My guess is they're kind of like Claude Rains in Casablanca, that they rounded up the usual suspects. The Libyan government really is whatever goes on in Tripoli, not outside of there. When we supported that revolution, basically what we did was provide air cover for people who, if they were in Afghanistan, would have been called the Taliban. What happened to the ambassador was perfectly predictable, Lou.
And tragic because
Absolutely,
it is unnecessary, sir, that he be put in a consulate that is, frankly, not safe, unprotected, not certainly by U.S. Marines, taken to a safe house that was anything but that. The idea that we will not have boots on the ground in Libya, that was the promise of this president. It now is clear that we're going to have Marine boots on the ground in Libya. We're going to have Marine boots on the ground in Yemen to protect Americans and our interests in those two countries. Your thoughts as we conclude.
Sir, there is no greater admirer of the U.S. Marine Corps than myself. My dad was a Marine. But I'll tell you, 50 Marines against a 10,000 person mob in Egypt or Yemen, and Yemen is the most heavily armed country on earth. We're just sending those boys on another fool's chase, just like we sent the late ambassador.
Michael Scheuer, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you, sir.